That we deal with the programs, the funds, and the legislation that comes to us from a variety of sources, not just the state legislature, not just the State Board of Education rules and regs or the State Department rules and expectations, but federal expectations. So we have lots of accountability, and sometimes it's difficult to manage all of those. And so I can understand why sometimes your best effort to do the right thing somehow explodes and surprises you. And not that it's excusable, but let's fix it. Let's hold the people accountable that need to be held accountable, and let's move forward. But from a school standpoint, we absolutely, the future is in technology, and we need to have access to it. We would love to see a statewide contract.
Today we have 8,000 technology devices, and half of that number has been funded by some sort of grants that our teachers, that our district has written so that we can find a need to meet the needs of our kiddos. And there's still not enough. There's still a lot of people wanting to do more and more. And by doing more and more, that means more and more bandwidth, more and more usage from an internet perspective. So you can imagine our concern when myself and some of my colleagues are reading in the paper that the IEN was going to go dark, because we can't function in our district without it. We could for maybe a couple of days, but we're on the verge of what I keep saying, we're on a tipping point of a transformation in my district as far as like where we really want to go and head.
There's a lot of concern about how well this has been managed and how we're going to prevent that in the future.
Well, I'll start with talking about the Chief Information Officer concept. We had 3 studies from the Office of Performance Evaluation. This is the legislative agency that does investigations. All 3 of those studies, the primary recommendation, or first recommendation, was for us to create a Chief Information Officer. We have not done that to date. That's something the governor is talking about now. Members of the legislature that have been, that I've talked to about that have not been as anxious to do that. There's some discussion of doing an interim committee to come up with recommendations. There's also a bill being written that would create a board similar to what governs our health exchange that would provide oversight. I don't think there's any question that we need additional oversight in what's being done. The piece about criminal, I'm not going to speculate. I'm sure that our judicial system has looked into that, and so far I've not heard anything being pursued. Supreme Court did, there were 2 individuals that were named in the lawsuit, and the Supreme Court did rule that they ruled them out of any further action. And there's 2 pieces you need to consider, quantity and quality. And we're seeing reports on quantity, we're not seeing reports on quality. I think we will see, as the next year's contracts are let, a wide divergence in the satisfaction that local school districts have with what they're purchasing.
There has been some concern that the network isn't being fully utilized. You referenced multiple things that it does beyond just broadband access for the high schools. What is usage now, and do we have a misunderstanding of how well it's being used?
Well, and the report that came to the Joint Finance Committee early on in the session basically focused on the video teleconferencing equipment and said it was, overall the average was not well used. But I would point out, Weiser, there are districts that use it intensely, and they're the ones that we need to make sure that's still available for. And I'll get back to uniformity. We're not going to tell a local school district how to create their educational environment, but we have a constitutional duty to make that access equal.